Nowadays, we carry the entire world in our pockets. But just because we're constantly connected, does that mean that we truly collaborate? For more than 20 years, our mission has been to connect people and ideas across geographies, across sectors, across disciplines. And so this question is very dear to our hearts, which is why in 2021 we decided to partner up with selected organizations to explore how to best collaborate across physical and digital spaces to tackle our biggest common issues. When Swissnex was built in year 2000, it was really a revolutionary piece of convergent architecture that already back then merged the physical and the digital space. It was the handiwork of two young Swiss architects in Boston, Jeff Wang and Muriel Fallvogel.
The design of the Swiss house had a few major concepts. One was that it was a platform to link the social and the virtual, and all the walls of the Swiss house were media walls, and plugs were network of plugs were ever on the floor, so you could connect. And it was to connect spaces with spaces and collapsing geography, not people to people.
Before the Swiss house, we had been working on this theoretical idea of convergence of physical and virtual spaces. I was a professor at Harvard, and that was the research topic, but it was in theory. And so the Swiss house gave us an opportunity to realize those ideas in a real project. Convergent architecture is really about not doing this either or, but both and. So both physical and virtual architecture at the same time. And how do you combine technologies from the physical and from the virtual realm in an integrated unit or in an integrated design to create a holistic experience.
The question of how to combine the physical and the digital space continued to bug us 20 years later. But the world has changed since then, of course, and we have had the entire pandemic, which is why we decided to reach out to a creative agency in Boston called SOSO to explore the future of hybrid collaboration.
We are a combination of architects, graphic designers, and creative technologists, and our work is where design and technology come together, often that sort of interface between physical and virtual space.
So we started thinking about the legacy of the Swissnex building and spaces of collaboration today in the middle of a global pandemic with our own team dispersed in multiple cities and countries.
We thought a lot about how digital and physical space has changed since the original Swissnex in Boston. In 2000, the internet was a destination that you went to, and you had to have a real physical location to go to, a tower computer hardwired into the wall, and you sat down at that computer and that's how you got to the internet. And what we realized is that that's completely inverted. In 2020, the internet is ubiquitous. It surrounds us, it blankets everything, and physical space is a destination that you go to.
So we wanted to really just understand how people can work together today, what spaces, whether physical or virtual, can connect many to many across space and time, and how these people can achieve something together.
We planned a 3-week sprint, a highly collaborative sprint, where the first week we focused on a research phase, and so the second week was dedicated really to ideation. And that was a very collaborative process with Swissnex. In the middle of COVID, it was of course a very virtual collaboration. We worked a lot in collaboration software called Figma, a variety of hand sketches, sticky notes, images pasted from precedents, and kind of idea spaces we were crafting just as the week went along. At the conclusion of the project, we kind of emerged with this document that covered in detail one idea that from the ideation phase, which we called the stack. it started as a metaphor, referencing technology stacks, which are, of course, these abstracted set of resources, hardware, software, various technologies that organizations will use to plan out, technical infrastructure.
So the outcome of this process, this collaboration, was a framework for thinking about how to pool resources, everything from physical resources to intellectual capital, and bring those together across boundaries, digital, physical, cultural, and to solve problems, large kind of global issues.
For us, the key question became, how can knowledge organizations break out of their silos, think in a more networked way, and truly collaborate on key social and global issues? How can these organizations together create solutions that really transcends any of the single organizations that are involved? And in that way, the stack became for us a framework for the organizations to come together, to map out the resources they want to share, map these resources into the layers of the stack, which are knowledge, people, spaces, software, and hardware, and then collectively think about how to creatively reorganize these resources towards the desired outcome. The stack encompasses all types of resources, from data to people to ideas. But physical space is the one we have been thinking most about at Swissnex, given the importance it has had for Swissnex over the years and given the new character it is getting now with the pandemic.
In the last few months, I think we all have been asking ourselves, what space do I belong to? Where do I want to be part of? Which community, which physical space? And what are the essential qualities I'm looking to a physical space that I would like to go to?
With hybrid spaces, the original goal was to provide connection, to extend the physical space. Now, with people having their mobile devices, it is almost the other way around, that what physical spaces can do is to shelter people from the digital, to have actually anti-digital almost devices, moments of peace.
It's the physical and the digital space combined that is exciting. It should never be one or the other.
It's a shift that the scenario or the experience comes first, and then the physical and the virtual technologies that enable that experience comes after. But this has become easier and easier to do. That's why the focus is shifting from let's say the bricks and mortar and the software and hardware to experiences, to motivations, to feelings, desires, emotions.
One of the philosophies that we've developed as a studio coming out of this period is that every space is now a hybrid space. And you have to think about both the physical layer and the virtual overlayer in any built environment project.
Especially now, post-2020, I think we all crave for the human connection and the authenticity that provides physical spaces. At the same time, we realize the strength of the digital space, the global reach of the digital space, the asynchronicity, the digital collaboration, the fact that it provides an archive. In a way, the digital is becoming our HQ and the physical is the ephemeral. And so I think we now need both, combined in new ways to really unlock the creativity we need and the potential of education, research, and innovation.